Good evening. In early 1994, Seinfeld was at the height of its popularity. Co-creator Larry David, known for his dark sense of humor, wrote a surrealist episode which would have ran as episode 76 in late 1993. The episode was never filmed because the cast felt it was too frightening for primetime television, and Jason Alexander objected to putting raw meat in his mouth. What follows are the surviving excerpts from the script. INT, Monk's Diner, day. Jerry and George are sitting at the booth eating lunch. Jerry has a salad, and George's plate is piled with different kinds of meat which he is devouring noisily. Jerry. Well, this is new. George, with a mouthful. This is all you really need, Jerry, meat! Jerry. Yeah, that and Plavix. That stuff is clogging your arteries as we speak. George, with a fist pump. Fill her up! Jerry. I'm surprised they didn't need a team of oxen to haul that meat to the table. George. Maybe a meat cart or a meat loader. Jerry, laughing. How are they going to bring it all to port? Going to need some kind of meat vessel. George. A meat ship. Jerry. Maybe the ship itself is made of meat too. That way you could just eat it along with all the meat it brings you. George. Yes, an edible food delivery service. This is what I should be doing, Jerry. First mate of the Meatship, George Costanza. Jerry. I'm afraid that ship has sailed. George. Think of all the joy it could bring to the world. And it's clean. Everything's edible. There's no pollution. Jerry. Kind of like a flesh version of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. George seems lost in longing thought. Jerry. Hey, how long has it been you've had a vegetable? George. This morning. I had lettuce on my cheeseburgers. Jerry. They're going to need a meat hearse coming up. INT. Jerry's apartment, night. Jerry is asleep. Cut to dream sequence with Jerry on the pier looking out into the ocean. A strange object appears over the water, moving closer. Jerry. What the? The object moves into view. It's a boat, not any ordinary boat. Jerry. The Meatship? Gradually, a short, stocky figure becomes visible on the bow. Jerry. George? The Meatship sends out a sausage tentacle which picks up Jerry and places him on the deck next to his friend. George. Hey! Look at me! Jerry. Oh my god, you're connected to the deck! The camera pans down to reveal a meaty growth over George's legs connecting him to the ship. George. This is where I belong, Jerry! Jerry. Oh, Moses, smell the roses! George. Join me, Jerry. The Meatship is one of endless delights. Endless! Jerry, with a repulsed look on his face. Look at you. Look at your legs. Something is going on down there. George looks down. George. Want a bite? George reaches down and pulls a strip of flesh from his leg, eating it greedily. Jerry, disgusted. Okay, that's enough for me. So long, folks. You've been great. George. You can't leave, Jerry. We won't let you. Jerry. We? You and who else? The fibrous salami deck opens and Kramer, now half spare rib, launches through it toward Jerry. Kramer. Hey, buddy. Try the roast pork. Kramer holds out his arm. Jerry. I don't want to try the roast pork. Kramer. Who's going to turn down a roast pork a la K-Man? Yep. Jerry turns to run, but is stopped cold when he sees the cabin. There is a giant visage of Newman, smiling smugly. Newman. Hello, Jerry. Jerry bolts upright out of bed in a cold sweat and realizes it was a dream. Jerry. Meatship! Intro. Monk's Diner. Day. Jerry, George, and Kramer are having lunch. George is eating meat again. Jerry. Boy, you are not going to believe the dream I had last night. George. You had a dream too? Jerry. More like a nightmare. Remember that joke we made about a ship made out of meat? George, nervously. You had a dream about a meat ship? Jerry. Yeah, and it was like this living organism. The decks were made out of salami, and had this sausage tentacle that picked me up and threw me on deck. You were there, George. Georgie, the ship assimilated you and Kramer. I don't know, you were like attached with meats. Kramer. What did I do? Jerry. I think you and George were addicted to the meat. I think the ship lured you both there with promises of succulent beef and pork products, and then snap! George flinches. George. That was my dream, too. Jerry. Get out! George. You listen to me, Jerry. That was the most wonderful feeling. I felt like I finally belonged. I've been searching for that my whole life, and the Meatship gave it to me. Jerry. That's what you said in the dream. George. Nah! Kramer. George, was there pulled pork? I can't get enough pulled pork. I don't know what it is. The savory sauce just integrates with that pork so perfectly. I have never been able to turn down a pulled pork sandwich. In fact, if I could live in pulled pork, I would do it. Jerry. You would? Kramer. In a heartbeat. Yeah! George. You know something? I think you're jealous. Jerry. Jealous? George. Jealous! Jealous of my new meat friend! Well, I'm not going to let you horn in on it! Not this time, Jerry! George begins to have dry heaves. Jerry. Oh my God, are you puking? George panics. He places his hand in front of his mouth and begins to pull out a raw slice of bacon. Jerry. Is that raw? Ugh! Where did that come from? George. Oh my God! Salmonella! Trichinosis! George races up to an old man sitting at a nearby booth. George. Am I susceptible to any diseases? Should I gargle mouthwash? What can happen? George runs out onto the street, screaming. Jerry. Well, I've never seen this one before. Intro. Jerry's apartment. Today. Jerry is looking through his cupboard. Meat, meat, meat. What is the attraction to meat all of a sudden? I mean, it sure has an abundance of protein. But think about it. It's the flesh of other living things. What's next? Eating little animal souls? It's ghoulish. Kramer bursts through the door. Jerry. Hey. Kramer seems disoriented and his skin is glistening with grease. He stumbles over the couch. Jerry. What's wrong with you? Kramer. Yeah, meat. Yeah, the meat. Jerry. Meat? Again? Kramer. Newman, meat. Jerry. Newman, meat. Jerry. Yeah. Jerry. Well, that's it. I'm going right over there and I'm going to put a stop to this meat cult! Kramer. Jerry. Bacon. Intro. Newman's apartment day. Newman is crouched before an altar over which he has draped strips of bacon and skirt steaks. Newman. Him? You want me to convert him? But he's my enemy! Newman, sighing. All right, fine. But you owe me big for this, Ponderosa. A knock at Newman's door. He opens it and Jerry enters. Jerry. All right, Newman, I've had enough of this. What did you do to George and Kramer? Newman. Nothing. They've simply come around to a new novel way of thinking. A way to orient oneself in the world, Jerry. Jerry. Well, it sucks! Noticing the altar. Oh my God. Newman. What is the use of staying like you are, Jerry? Newman's mouth opens and raw hamburger meat projectiles out all over Jerry. Newman. He came to us on a strip of meat, Jerry. Jerry. Newman! Int. Elaine's apartment night. Elaine is sleeping. Well, she hasn't been in this so far. Cut to dream sequence of Elaine giving birth with Jerry, the father, looking on. Doctor. Push! Push! Elaine struggles to give birth. The baby comes out, but the doctor looks horrified. Elaine. What? What? Is something wrong with my baby? Jerry. No, Elaine. The child is perfect. It will be our cabin boy. On the ship. Elaine looks down. She sees that her baby is a large meatloaf. Elaine wakes up screaming. She hears a knock at the door. Hesitantly, she goes to it, looks out the peephole, and opens the door. Jerry, George, and Kramer enter. They're all covered in grease and sauce. Jerry,